Hey Ben, this is a follow-up to that second derivative problem we were working yesterday. Just like delta math, we're going to do the second derivative of this function at this point here. All right, so we were finding the first derivative yesterday, and that's all fine. So take the first derivative like you normally do. Every time you differentiate y, do the dy dx, solving for dy dx. Okay, so that part's going fine. We get our first derivative with respect to y. Now, before we move on, what's fine? We're going to find the first derivative at this point. Okay, so we're going to plug in our x and y into this function. And I think I did that over here to the right. Okay, so right here, we're finding the first derivative at that point. And we find out that for this problem, it's 3. Now, we're going to set that number aside, or we're going to store that problem for just a second, and then we're going to go find the second derivative. Okay, so here's our first derivative. This is a quotient, so we can use quotient rule. So bottom times the derivative of the top minus the top times the derivative of the bottom, all over the bottom squared. Now here's where we went astray. We're not going to solve for dy dx. We're just going to leave this as our second derivative. We're not going to set this equal to 0 and solve for that. That's where we went off track yesterday. We're going to just say that's our second derivative. So after you do quotient rule, you can leave it in this form. Okay, now we're just going to find the second derivative at this point. So all of our x's, we're going to say x is equal to -2. We're going to say y is equal to 6. And wherever we have dy dx, we're now going to set that equal to 3. Okay, also known as the delta math uses y prime as the derivative. Okay, so you're just substituting those 3 values into your second derivative after you do your quotient rule. Okay, so in this problem, just some notes here that we did second derivative with quotient rule. We're plugging in those 3 values and we're going to get a 6. Okay, so after you do your quotient rule, just plug in your values, and you also need the first derivative at that point also. Okay, that's it. Should go smoothly knowing that information. All right, have a good day. Talk to you later.